St. Thomas Academy, and welcome to the Cadet Football Show. I'm your host, Mike Maxwell, and to my left is our head football coach, Travis Walch. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I take it as a good sign that you actually came back for episode 2, so we didn't scare you away. All right.
No.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's jump right into this. You're 7 days into training camp. Give us your impressions of the 2023 squad so far.
So far, I know we'll probably talk about this again, but health. You always say, are we doing things in a manner in which we can keep kids healthy, keep our coaches fresh, and we're trying to mix it up a little each day to do that. It's not just the physical freshness; it's the mental clarity as well that you want. So they're willing to come back each and every day and be able to say, I'm ready to take on this challenge. So we've been happy with the first 7, but as we tell the team all the time, we always want to just find ways to get a little bit better. And that's the goal. I'm constantly communicating with our coaches to say, how do we change it up? And then we had the weather this week, which right away you say, well, it's going to cause some disruptions. And the other side of it, you say, could actually provide us some really neat mental and physical breaks. And I think that's what we have to do, is look back after we're done with camp and say, do we need to be doing everything that we're doing physically? And is this disruption really kind of a blessing in disguise?
Yeah, awesome. So who are some of the players that have impressed you most, through the first 7 days?
Well, I'll give you one from each side of the ball. When I think about offense, what do we want to do? We want to have tempo. We want to be composed. We want to be able to orchestrate across the board, and it starts with your quarterback. And Max Sims has been better than I thought. I knew he could throw really well. He is a tremendous leader. He handles and controls the offense in a manner that I think keeps people calm. And he's an extension of our offensive coordinator right now. He's really, really good with understanding what everyone needs to do. Defensively, if you said, well, who do we want to be defensively? We just want to be relentless and attacking. And that is Teddy Knapp. I mean, Teddy's a guy that you saw on offense last year as a dominant offensive lineman. You go, he's got great punch. He can run his feet. But I certainly did not think he would be this disruptive. And I give our defensive staff and Coach Polkernowski a lot of credit for putting him in situations that allows him to move instead of just saying, hey, Teddy, you got to hold down the gap and let your linebackers make all the play. He's just good enough to make plays, and he's been really, really tough on us. And then last one, Declan Wilson. I think we'll have some dynamic returners, but when you have a kicker that can locate the way he can on kickoff, it puts our coverage in a really good spot. And every time he runs on the field, be it extra point or be it 3 points, points are points, whichever way you can get them. And he has been able to kick through some average snaps, some really good holds, and I really like the trust that Declan has in the people that around him, and he is a real weapon, no doubt.
Okay, that's awesome. So overall, are you pleased with the progress to date?
Yeah, we are, but we need to finish really strong this week, and then before you know it, Monday we're on the doorstep of a really good Andover team and a really good Andover product. Certainly, we have the benefit of being able to see 3 really good teams this week, which I know we'll talk about here in a little bit. But yes, I like where we're at now, and I feel we're at a good pace. But we need to finish strong this week, and our kids have responded with every challenge we've given them so far.
That's good. And are we staying healthy? You had kind of alluded to it, but
we really are. For camp, I think we're actually getting healthier. We had some guys nicked up, and hey, what I really like, and I've told this community, is I want our kids that are baseball players playing baseball in the summer. I got no problem with that if they're making themselves better athletically. Same thing with lacrosse. And we did have kids get nicked up throughout the summer on their travels and playing with their traveling teams. I think we've actually gotten healthier throughout camp. So I like that. Hunter Carver has been back doing some full speed stuff. Michael Kalisic has been back. Louis Peltier has been back. And those were all guys that we were actually missing in the summer that we now have back, which has been really helpful for us.
Got it. Okay, good. So let's talk a little bit about the inter-squad scrimmage which was held yesterday. You had to change up the schedule a little bit. Originally scheduled for an evening session, had to move it to the morning due to the heat warnings, the excessive heat warnings. And I got to tell you, even at 7:30 in the morning, it was pretty steamy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Give us your thoughts on that.
Well, first thing with it being steamy in the morning, I don't mind because realistically, we're going to play a 7 o'clock game in August and early September where it is going to be like that. So I don't want to completely avoid it. We just want to make sure we're doing it in a safe manner. Our goal with scrimmages is always two things. Again, health, but how many reps do we really want to get out of kids? And we kind of targeted and said, if we could just get 2 solid 6-play drives with our offense and defense that are ones, get them 10 to 12 to 14 reps, we'll feel great. With our twos, we want to extend that out. There's a few more position battles there. And there were some ones dipping down with our twos and some twos that were splitting with some ones. Goal there was to get them, somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 18 reps. And same with what we would call our 10th graders, our threes right now in the way that we practice. And we said we want to be out there for an hour of actual scrimmage time. We were an hour and 1 minute, so we went a little bit over. We got enough special teams reps in to just work through the operations of going on and off the field and transitioning. And then we got our field goal PAT. And let's not forget, you don't just do field goal PAT for the kicking side of it. You do it for the block side of it. And you start seeing how disruptive a guy like Avery Buckner can be off the edge and what a weapon that's going to be. And as we tell our PAT field goal and our PAT block, first of all, our PAT block, we say it's not a field goal attempt, it's not a field goal, it's a field goal attempt. Right. And we're telling our defense, we run on that field. We're not assuming they're making it. We're going after that thing and trying to get that point back for us. What we tell our kicking game is when you run on the field as a PAT team, and we have an opportunity for 1 point, that is more important. That 1 point gets us more in that 1 rep than our offense a lot of times. Because if we get 60 plays a game and we average 30 points, well, that's about a half a point for reps. So every time we run on the field, we try to cue to our offense that this is the most important play of the drive.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Good. Well, I watched a little film last night of the scrimmage, and I was actually really impressed with where the defense is at. And of course, that was, as we talked about in the last episode, that was a concern of mine, at least, right? Maybe not yours, but would you agree with that sentiment that they're in a pretty good spot right now?
And I joked with the parents last night at our meeting, our grades 9 through 12 parent meeting, and I said, for the first time in my life, I'm not just on one side of the ball. Right. So as a head coach, every play can be really high and low at the same time, and emotionally you have to figure out how to balance that thing. Usually it was just offense. You're like, hey, we had a really good play, great. So within every play, it's just, I'm trying to figure out how do I want to process and what do I want to bring up and what shouldn't I? Sometimes you just saying nothing is maybe the better thing. Sure. But overall, from a scrimmage standpoint, I felt like defensively we were more sound with our assignment. Yep. You play faster when you understand what it is you're being asked to do. And if you give a defense another week to be able to do that, another 5 practices from when we last saw them, I hope that we are better. I certainly do. But there was a confidence there. Our defensive coordinator and our defensive staff's concern always is we're not a big tackling team in practice. In fact, we never do it unless it's a scrimmage. So how do we really understand if our guys can tackle if we're not tackling in practice? Yep. We work tackling fits where we roll and it's not high contact. But everything we do is just leverage based. So the hope is, can we put them in the right positions enough that when they get in the game, then they are in the right position to force the ball to their buddy or make the tackle. Right. And I was happy with that. There were a couple times we lost our force. We lost our what we call our power and force fits, keeping the offensive guy in between us. Yep. But the hustle was there, and the activeness was there, and the excitement was there.
Yeah, I even on the film where there's really no sound or anything, you could sense that as well. So, and let's switch to the other side of the ball. Do you feel like your offense is grasping the new offense that you're installing? I
do. The difference with offense sometimes is you have multiple personnel groups, so it's not the same 11 guys like you get on a defense that can just gel. Sometimes we're going to have 3 backs, sometimes we're going to have 2 backs, sometimes we're going to have 1 back, and in the process of doing that, you're asking. It's almost like you have 3 little offenses, right? Mm-hmm. So it takes them a little bit longer, I think, to be able to manage all that. And when a lot of times you look at our defense, they never run anyone on and off the field within a given drive. But offenses are constantly doing that. So there's just more to it. I've said this for years in football. I think most coaches do. You go to a scrimmage and you're like, oh man, that was either really good or really bad. And then you watch and it is never as bad or as good as you think it is. Oftentimes it does come back kind of to the middle. So, and that's how I felt. We were cleaner on offense than I thought. One little thing on the front that goes wrong on offense can disrupt the whole thing.
For sure.
And so that's what we saw. So overall, felt really, really good with it.
Good. And you know what? You talked a little bit about Declan Wilson and some of the work you did on special teams there. I feel like the kicking game is solid. Would you agree with that?
Certainly with our kickoffs and certainly with our PT field goal. I still think we're searching for who our punter is going to be. We will be making use of our offense to help out in some of that stuff, but I think we really need to be able to settle on a punter. And it's not just who can grab that ball and kick it really far, punt it really far. Yeah. There really is kind of an art to how efficient you can be by the time the ball is snapped and hits your hands. Yep. Can you locate? How fast can we get it off to suit our protection? So believe it or not, it's not just about grabbing it and mashing it downfield somewhere. No. So we want to be efficient. We want to be able to locate. So we're still in the works, I think, to figuring out who we are as a punt team.
Okay, good. So you got three more practices before you get into the four-way scrimmage on Saturday. What are the things that you're doing to prepare for that scrimmage?
Yeah, so today is really going to be more of a regeneration. I kind of touched on it earlier. Does the heat help us out in a way? Yeah. So today we're going to spend as the guy with Coach Zebarth who kind of handles the special teams, the four majors and PAT field goal. We're finally going to get a chance for 45 minutes just to walk through every special team situation we can. And we're going to do it indoors because of the heat and walk through it. That will give our O&D staff about an hour to break off together and take care of things that they want to get ready for. We'll come back at 4 o'clock. We're going to watch some scrimmage film, split, offense, defense. We are going to start, I know one of the things that we talked about is we are going to start peeking ahead to Andover. And I want our guys to just get that taste now. Who is Andover very generally? What's the top personnel? Give me their top 3 schemes and just let them see them and get a taste of that. Right. And then what we're going to try to do is after we give them an hour break, if we can get out at 7 o'clock tonight, we will hit the field in just helmets. And it's going to be a totally split night. O on one side, D on the other. And we're going to use it as a crossover night as well. So we're going to start going a little bit farther with guys that are going to have to play on both sides of the ball without a defense or offense across from them and just doing stuff on air. So regeneration day, health day, and a walkthrough day, if you would, is kind of what we're thinking.
Got it. Okay. Remind our fans who will be at the scrimmage.
So Saturday. Well, and first off, I don't want to leave the ninth graders are going to go down to Shakopee on Friday night. Coach Jerkovich and his group, 6 p.m. start. They will go against the same 3 teams that we're going against. So it'll be Forest Lake, Shakopee, and Lakeville South. So our ninth graders, if you're interested, will be down in Shakopee this Friday night at 6 p.m. And then we will follow them into Saturday. Yep. We'll have the 10th grade at actually the high school location. Okay. And then we will be at what I believe is called West Middle School. When I say we, the varsity, the 11th and 12th graders mainly. And what you're looking at is about a 20-minute segment with your offense against the other team, and then a 20-minute segment with your defense against the other team. You'll get a little break in between. You'll get a little break between scrimmages. We'll do 3 scrimmages, the 9 o'clock hour, the 10 o'clock, and the 11 o'clock, and then we're out of there by noon.
Okay, that sounds good. I look forward to seeing how they do against these teams. You touched on it in episode 1, but what can we expect from each of these teams? Yeah,
and we do have access to film. That's good. And I've known a lot of these coaches for years because I've recruited against them. I actually consulted in one of the schools as well, so have been behind the scenes with them. Coach Benton is the one that is running it, and Coach Benton has just been a really good football coach here, not only in Shakopee, Holy Angels, East Ridge. The guy that I would consider a friend, Ben Burke at Lakeville South, actually coached with us at the University of St. Thomas, so there's a connection there. So what we're looking at is, if we start with Lakeville South, they're a 6A power. They have traditionally been a power T team, really no wide receivers. Occasionally they'll split someone out. It's going to be a toughness type matchup for us. They're going to run the ball 90% of the time. Ben has told us that, they may be lightening up formations a little bit compared to who they've been in the past. What they did really well is they just used really good, they used their personnel. They had a stretch of about 3 or 4 years where they had massive linemen and tight ends. And they said, this is who we are and we're going to go with it. So that's really what we're seeing. Most of the defenses down there across the board are going to be your classic Okie or 3-4 style defense, similar to what we do. Right. So for our offense, it's not going to be a huge change from what they've already seen. Got it. Forest Lake is going to be, in a way, 3-back, but out of gun, so a little bit more deceptive and spread, but with a run attack, which I always think is the toughest. It's you spread you out to run the ball. Right. A lot of teams spread you out to try to throw. Teams that can really effectively run the ball and spread tend to be the toughest matchups, in my opinion. And then Shakopee is in a little bit of a transition from what I heard. Classic flex bones, kind of double wing. And it sounds like they might be getting a little lighter as well. Their offensive coordinator, another friend who actually used to be the Simley head coach, Rex King, stepped away, long-time system-type offensive guy. So they're going to be moving in a little bit different direction. But we'll see what we get.
Yeah. It'll be interesting either way.
And that's not always a bad thing. Going into a situation, sometimes that happens in games, and I saw it in the consulting. They are who they were for 3 weeks, and 2 guys got hurt, and all of a sudden you walk out the next week and you're going, well, what is this? This is a brand new offensive defense. So you're going to get that every once in a while, and that's why I really like how Coach Polkanowski and Coach Menke have set up our defense. It really allows us to check to formations less than personnel. So no matter what comes out, we can pretty much get into what we need.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. Again, look forward to that. So let's look just down the road just a bit. You alluded to it before that you're starting to take a peek at Andover. I'm assuming coaches have done a little more preparation on that front. But what do you start that in earnest next week, or are you going to start building that into the balance of this week?
Yeah, you're right. I think we did mention, but just generally what we do when we get to August 1st, it's not classically a dead period like July, but we can't be doing football related stuff. And for me, I'm saying I want our coaches to take those 2 weeks and get away. I want our players and families to do what they have to do. It's going to be a long season. Yeah. So what we tell the coaches then is we're not going to be meeting, but take what we have in technology, which is Huddle and Zoom. Mm-hmm. And Coach Polkanowski assigned 2 of his guys to Andover, 2 to Cretan, and 2 to Maddaus. And it just gives us a chance to get a jump on what we think the personnel could be and what we think scheme-wise they'll be doing if they're doing the same thing as last year. Okay. Obviously, scrimmage film this week will confirm or help us get closer to go, oh, yeah, they're doing exactly what they've also done or always done, or we got some wrinkles now. But we have got ahead on them a little bit. We're never going to put so much focus on one thing in front of the other. The goal's got to be the thing in front of us. But I think we will at least walk into each of those weeks with a pretty good idea of who they are before that Monday hits, even for our kids, I believe.
Okay. That sounds good. So the boys start school on Monday. Obviously that puts a different wrinkle on things. I remember when I was coaching that first couple days with the freshmen was these kids are tired. They haven't been in school for a few months, and so does that change your approach to practice?
I guess I'm going to have to figure that out, right? So first time head coach, you're going. Yeah, I will say, and I would add the teachers to that. Now they're working a full day schedule, and we've gotten a little bit of that this week. And I think they're doing their in-services or whatever they call their teacher training stuff as a school. So our teachers have started to get into that mode, but our players are still hanging out at home, whatever they roll in. I will say, something happened the other day. It was one of those days for me as a coach administratively. We always think that it's our coach's job to get our players ready for practice, which it is. Right. But I can tell you it was one of those days, and 2 things really cool happened. One, I was kind of lamenting on the day and not letting things go as I hit the field. And I heard the players come on the field on Monday, and there was just an energy, and it just kind of brought me up. And in all organizations and teams, if you're good, that needs to happen, right? It can't always just be top-down leadership. It's got to come from the players. And
agreed.
We had another coach who knows me well. I said, I can tell something's bothering you today, and he said, you just got to let it go and move, and I'm just really appreciative that we have that. And, It's not just about a little bit. It's a trust, but it's the idea of everyone. And I tell our kids all the time, if I'm doing it, I expect you to hold me to a standard as well,
Yeah.
as I would for our coaches. So that was a good step. Made me feel good, and I needed it. And every once in a while, I'm going to need that too.
Yeah.
And we want a program that operates that way.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, good. Coach, thanks for taking a little time to talk a little cadet football. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
And we will be back next week to break down the Shakopee scrimmage, and we'll also then preview the season opening matchup with the Andover Huskies. Thanks for watching, and go Cadets.